So
This conference will now be recorded.
Time. So welcome to Thrive, Healthy Home, Fostering Productivity and Whole Body Health, brought to you by Zillion. So we thank Zillion for sponsoring that and the upcoming sessions. We're going to go through a few housekeeping slides and then we'll get started right away. So first, about the WCMA, if many of you don't know, we are the Worksite Wellness Council of Massachusetts, the premier community for thought leadership and employee well-being. Our mission is we provide programs, networking, resources, and help organizations to cultivate and sustain a thriving culture. And our purpose is to connect and collaborate and learn from each other, share industry best practices, just like we're trying to do today and in the numerous upcoming webinars we have scheduled for you. And it couldn't happen without our sponsors. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors. We have corporate and conference sponsorships. It's a great way to elevate an organization's brand and show your commitment to wellness. We have gold, silver, bronze, and we have webinar sponsors. If you're interested, please contact Phil Bean. He's our vice chair at sponsors@WWCMA.org. And thanks to our sponsors, we have this COVID-19 resource page. We're continuing to update it as we find new and relevant information to help you all thrive as an employee, employer, and try to help navigate these uncertain times. So these are from our sponsors, so thanks again to them. As you know, we have the Healthy Home. The next upcoming sessions are Reframing Your Obstacles, Boosting Immunity, and Social Connection. They'll all be scheduled like this. We look forward to your participation, and just be aware that if you haven't registered for all, there's still an opportunity to do that. And lastly, we just have a membership offer. If you join today or so, you get 3 free months with the promo code FREE3. And what that allows you is that it provides numerous opportunities to connect, again, network, share, and learn. And one of the biggest things is that you get a lot of our programs for free, which is great. So quick housekeeping item on today. We have, during the content, which again is only going to be about 10 to 12 minutes at most, we would like you all to remain on mute, but then as soon as the discussion is open, please make sure that you unmute yourself when you'd like to speak. We also have our webcam. We would love you to join. I'm only dolled up because I'm the presenter. You know, it doesn't matter how we look or what's in our background. We just want you to contribute. And also we have our chat function, which is a great way to submit questions during the content or during the discussion period. We'll definitely take a look at that once the presentation is done. We also want to let you know this is being recorded and will be available on our member portal later. All right, now that I've gone through all the fun stuff, let's get started. Oh, about me. I'm a holistic health coach and I'm founder of Your Wellness Scout. I'm also the WWCMA Education and Events co-chair. I've been practicing, for about 5 so years, but I've been in industry for about 17 with really understanding how the work-life balance and health and nutrition are all wound up together. And I focus on a lot of these types of work-life balance and trying to integrate wellness into your life in a sustainable way. So let's go ahead. One of the things that I want you all to keep in mind is we called this Thrive because we will discuss, we're going to discuss more than just challenges or being resilient and the ability to bounce back. That's the idea of resilience. It's more about we want to help you and your organization, embrace stress as a learning opportunity and shift your evaluation process so that you can de-escalate those negative responses and such. And how that happens a lot of times is you look at our lifestyle. So our lifestyle, this diagram from ACLM, is to show how your lifestyle habits affect emotional and physical well-being. And a lot of these other aspects also affect, your emotional health. I've actually added one more icon here. It's the home setup. And I've added that because of our current situation, because all of these elements definitely impact your home life, right? Your movement, your nutrition, your mental, your social support. So when you modify, any of these elements will help you better adapt and perceive and potentially grow. So to thrive versus succumb to stress. So one of the things we talked about first was ergonomics. So the idea of your, how is your home office set up? Do you have it set up correctly? And why should you even consider it? Because the effects of a poor office setup are oftentimes aches, pain, irritability, fatigue, less focus, and anxiety. And the less focus and anxiety sometimes don't happen right away. They happen after a cumulative effect of long-term, poor posture. So, are you hunched over? Do you not have a proper chair? A laptop is called a laptop because it was supposed to sit on your lap, right? And so if it sits on your desk, you're not necessarily, you're not having your arms and your hands and your back in the position that would be proper for a laptop, which is suited for your lap. Is your body at the correct height? Are you hunching over? This is notorious. Are you on your bed the whole day? And so all these things are things to consider when, you're trying to set up your home office. And do you have a designated work area? For those of you that live in, maybe small, urban cities, you don't have a lot of spaces or homes. So maybe you are working at the kitchen table. Is it cluttered? Can you designate an area within that space that could be more, you can designate an area that could just be for work. So sometimes if you have a small space, how do you just designate those small spaces just for work? And do you even have plants? Plants are a good way to lighten, brighten, and bring in oxygen to your home. So what's another way to think about the workstation is we have a diagram here. This will be accessible in the slides, and which you can access online on our COVID-19 resource page under our Thrive section, as well as on our event section. But here's just a quick little way to see a diagram on a workstation. Now, again, you may not have the proper chair, you may not have this desk, but what can you do at home to somewhat mimic this type of setup? Can you put a towel at your lower back? Can you roll up a shirt? Things like that. So these are all things to consider. And as we go through the next couple of sections, I want you to think in your head for the discussion period, what is my challenge? What is my priority challenge today? Is it this ergonomics? Is it another section? And we'll talk and share and learn that maybe we can all learn from some best practices from each other. So what's another component of a healthy home? My favorite, nutrition. This is a big thing that's changed. There's a lot of issues with the grocery store and food ordering and all of that, but just try to keep it in a simple mindset. Choose foods that energize you and satiate you versus foods that are high in sugar and refined carbs. It's very easy to go for high sugary things, but at the end of the day, you're going to end up suffering the consequences from that, and it repeats a negative cycle. Water helps you with that. Drink lots of water. Drink it all the time. You can, there's a 3-liter challenge, fill up an empty water bottle and just, keep drinking it no matter whether you're, when you get hungry, maybe you drink that first. When you get bored, drink that first. Challenge if you have kids, challenge your children to do it with you. Water really keeps you focused. Planned meals and snacks. This is where, as a health coach, I would actually say go back to the planned 3 meals a day. And the reason why is it keeps you from the mindless snacking. If you don't have those planned meals, you might end up doing the grazing around the kitchen the whole day. Finding excuses to go back in there or sit by the kitchen or, those mindless things that happen. Also, meal and snack breaks help compartmentalize, which we'll talk about very shortly. Look at the fact of that you may need to actually you want less snacks, but try to think about sitting down with your family and having a meal, not sitting in front of your computer. And then experiment and treat yourself. Don't try to get into a rut. Maybe try a new recipe, set aside some time, maybe indulge in a cake later on in the afternoon, but try to pick your moments of indulgences and try if possible to have a workspace away from the kitchen. Physical activity, this is another good component. Make time, I just say make time. I know it's a hard one, but you make time. Maybe you're not commuting. Maybe switch out that time for a little bit of yoga and stretching. Move every 30 minutes. After this is done, get up, go walk, down the hall and back about 5 times. Keep moving. You could do those lunges down the hallway. I had a coworker who used to do top of the hour exercises. Every hour they would do push-ups. They would do squats. They do it for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Just do that, and you'll notice how that helped with that mindless snacking. Do family time. If you have a family, go out and do some, family walks, have dance breaks, do yoga. There's ways to schedule it in. And I think that's the, shifting that mindset of like, this is important for my mental and my physical sanity. Let's try to fit it in a little bit. If you're taking a lot of phone calls, walk around during them. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Perfect way to socially distance, walk up those stairs if you can, if you have them. Try some yoga and deep breathing exercises. Again, this is not to do all of them. It's pick one thing and try to see what works for you. Another one is clean your home aggressively. That has a twofold benefit. You got your home clean, and then you can also get some, deep breathing in there. And this is a way to like create new practices. My family on the weekend, we actually now go out to a local field, very socially distanced, and we do some like sports conditioning exercises. And my daughter and my husband, we would have never done that unless we had this situation. Now we may actually incorporate this into our life, as long as we can. It's been great. So try to think about new ways to incorporate new practices and behaviors. Oh, a virtual wellness challenge. I have a client of mine that they have a virtual wellness challenge at their company. So they have a series of wellness challenges. They provide points for each activity. They get some recognition. Some things could be like you get 2 points for doing yoga during the day. You drink some water. You connect with a loved one, eating away from the computer. And so trying to get your employees to try to really encourage them to think about wellness as integrated, not as just I have to stop and do it and it's annoying. It's something that's going to help everyone be more productive and, honestly just feel a little bit more in control in an uncontrollable situation we have right now. Okay, and then I think one of the last things I'm going to talk about before we open it up to discussions is, are you looking at transitions and compartmentalizing? Work-life balance has a whole new meaning now. Work is in our life and our life is in our work when we're all working from home. Are you able to compartmentalize? And that is easier said than done. I know there's a lot of challenges, but do you have a set schedule for these things? From day one, when I found out my daughter's school was closed, I don't know why, but I just said, Monday, we're starting the similar little education. I had some workbooks out. I was more routine with our kid than I was the whole time of her life. I wasn't routine with her when she was a baby, but we have lunch at 12:30. We do exercise in the afternoon. We go outside. And it actually, I think, has helped her and me. I think it's helped the cat. The cat knows when she's getting food. My husband knows when something is coming. So for us, it helps my colleagues when I say, look at my work time is now during, these sections. So think about that compartmentalization and a schedule will, again, give you another feeling of control that we don't feel like we have right now. It also helps you be transparent to your employees and your employer. Say, look, this is my best work time. This is when I'm getting stuff done. Please feel free to contact me whenever during this time period. But these other times I need to devote to my physical activity, my family. And again, if you have that luxury, if you're I don't know everybody's working situations, but it's trying to be as transparent as possible about the working conditions that you're in. That can help everyone be respectful of them. So one of the things before we get into the discussion too is I want to remind you all that sometimes setting a SMART goal, maybe many of you have heard of this, that when you, and maybe if you're going to be coming on for the next sessions, we can always check in on some of these. But is there something that we've just quickly reviewed that resonates with you that you could incorporate and you develop a SMART goal? And a SMART goal is this a SMART goal? I want to eat more vegetables. No. This is a SMART goal. I want to eat 3 new vegetables per week at my lunch meal, right? Starting next week, I want to improve my posture. Is that a SMART goal? No. You can tell I've been doing some homeschooling. This would be more of a SMART goal. Starting Monday, I will move every 30 minutes and use a towel like in my lower back while sitting. Those are SMART goals. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, and they're realistic. And I really, really encourage you to start small. I think a lot of people think that they have to, I went through a lot of information. No, you don't have to do all that. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of people on say they have these challenges or this or what's bothering or how can I incorporate this. think about the one thing that would really work for you for this upcoming week. Take it slow and focus on the present. So these are some of the, that's the specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So pick one thing and try to work on that. And again, as we say, thriving might be, again, understanding how you can take this new norm and twist it into something that could be a positive alternative so that you aren't feeling as stressed by deadlines and by a lot of the things that we can't control in our situation. So now that I'm going to stop talking a lot, and I would like to go to our discussion and sharing portion right now. I know that we may have do we have any questions that came up in the few minutes here? I don't see any now. Otherwise, I would love for anyone to enter a chat question, unmute themselves and ask a question. They can even pose a question to the group. I know this is all new for us, so please don't hesitate to pipe up. And if you haven't thought of one, then if you could change one area, which area would it be and which one would have the most impact on your total body health? And what I mean by this is, so if you feel that you, did some deep breathing exercises, would that help your posture, which ultimately affects your ergonomics? And would that deep breathing also make you more mindful of your snacking and those types of things? So I'm going to stop and give it a minute. Do we have any questions, any comments, thoughts?
Hey, Kirsten, I'll share one thing. A CFO at my company put a little tagline on her e-signature that said, I'm working all kinds of crazy hours off the normal 9-to-5 schedule. Because you get an email from me at an odd time doesn't mean I expect you to respond. And we've been really trying at the company to have everybody, work when you can, acknowledging they've got kids they're trying to do homeschooling for and so forth. But at least this way, people aren't pressured to respond to the CFO at 8 o'clock at night if they get an email from her. So I thought that was a pretty brilliant thing to do and pretty easy. Just a little statement on your e-signature.
That's a great idea. Yeah. And that's part of that sharing that transparency. If you just tell somebody, I can't be available at this time, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to respect that. And they know you'll be more productive at another time. Love that idea.
Hi, Kirsten.
Yeah. Hi,
Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
Okay. One of the things that I'm trying to incorporate more, and even with my clients, is doing some meditation and some reflection and giving them an opportunity to make sure they get outside, talk about nature with them, doing a stretching program, getting people to get up and stretch is part of the whole ergonomics piece and physical activity, so people work on their posture and some of their stretching, and then just doing the mindfulness meditation. Okay. And I try to practice that. Okay.
That's great. I think, and then people always remember that meditation is a practice that sets you up not only at the moment, but for future reactions. So you kind of, work on those. And it's helpful, I think, if sometimes too, as Judy was saying with the signature, if the organization is able to kind of make note of these in the communications, then it makes it, the employees are more readily willing to accept some of these thoughts, these ideas.
Right.
Any other?
This is Julia.
Yeah.
Part of my job, I work for a health insurance company, and part of my job is wellness programs internally. So we work with wellness programs externally, but also for our own associates. And what we came up with, we use Skype as our communication, and we do 15-minute Skype workouts every day, or 3 times a week. So we just kind of get people up and moving. It's really fun, and people, surprisingly, it's had a really good, a lot of good feedback where, you find yourself that you've just been sitting, in the office, but even more at home, that you've just been sitting, and the only trip you've been getting up to is to go to the bathroom or get a drink of water. And so it's been really awesome to get people up and moving. Me and my manager, we both alternate teaching, and it's super fun, and it's only 15 minutes.
That's great. No, that's a great idea, and that, yeah, it creates that camaraderie. And I want to encourage, if others have questions for others who have spoken already, please pipe up. Remember, this is, feel free to unmute yourselves, and I don't have to always talk after everyone does. That's a great idea. And it also keeps people like, have you gotten maybe a higher turnout with some of these meetings, or do you do these like during already scheduled meetings?
No, we just have them like around, like right before lunchtime. Originally it was going to be lunchtime, but we recognized that sometimes, the governor or the president's on at noon. So we decided to do it at 11. So it's right before lunchtime. And, we actually start at 11:05 and end at 11:25, so that if people have meetings until 11 or right at 11:30, it gives them the flexibility to still go right to that meeting and not be late. So it's worked out really well. And we've done, a lot of people are attending, which is great. And it's fun, it gets people together because they can talk if they want to, or put a chat in the chat box. So it's nice social aspect too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing of gyms. A lot of people do home workouts anyway, but a lot of people have been like the gym and like that social feature of a gym. So you've kind of provided that for twofold. It's great.
Right.
Thank you. Anyone else too? Anyone have thoughts, questions? What about some of the challenge areas? Anyone, dealing with some of the challenges we discussed, or some of the, where do they notice any of their employees feeling this, any of themselves feeling, is this new for some of your employees, this working from home situation? Have you heard of challenges from them? Feel free to share a lot of what we've talked about today too. I saw a hand. Yes, Hillary. Oh, Hillary, we can't hear you, Hillary.
Sorry. I also do health promotion for a large organization, and we have been running step challenges, which our engagement and participation have doubled and tripled since prior to people working from home. I want to point out that Fitbit is offering their premium service for 3 months for free, and they have free virtual classes. And you don't even need a device to open up a Fitbit account. They have a mobile track feature where you can just use your phone to track your steps. And they have a lot of services that they provide for free right now. And I highly recommend using a tracker. It provides accountability, a little competition, individual competition. You can compete, you can join up into communities over Fitbit and compete with your friends, etc. So that helps get people moving.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there too, and it's great to hear that some company like Fitbit is offering these types of things. Any others? What about so I guess I would love to hear is in the minutes we have left, and I'm fine staying on for a little bit longer too. What are some people's greatest challenges is working from home again for their with their either themselves, their employees, they've heard from their colleagues? Is this new to anybody?
I can chime in. The barrier around the blurred lines between when I start work and when I finish work is a huge theme for us and our workforce. And so we have instituted some a couple of rules, one in particular to help ward against that, which is we've blocked off noon till 1 every day. It's a no meeting policy, 12 to 1. And what I'm observing for me personally and others is that people are adhering to it. Of course, there are exceptions, but I think that air cover, creating that expectation and a norm around certain behavior is really helping with that. Another thing is communication. So, just actively having to change the way that we communicate across our teams and facilitating a lot more active social time virtually to get people to feel like they can let loose a little bit, not having any.
Yeah, can you expound on that more a little bit, Christy? So you mean like you have more like fun activity, like non-work?
I'll give you some very specific examples. We have Friday afternoon happy hours. I'm using air quotes.
Wow.
Actually, only the first one was not, only the first one was happy hour where people had beverages. Since then, we've had a Friday afternoon gathering. It starts off with the CEO just giving a state of the state, what's up for the week, what's up, successes of the week, challenges, what's going on with the business. So it is kind of mandatory. Everybody comes. And then something fun. So I'll give you a few examples. One day, we had wear a crazy hat. And I am telling you, that was hilarious. It was so hilarious. And we clicked through, it's a small company, 55 people. We were all clicking through everybody's image on Google Hangouts so that we could see everybody's hats. It was just, we talked about it forever. We did a Zumba class. So one of our employees is a Zumba instructor. And that particular Friday was optional. The CEO said something and then everybody could go on their way or they could take the Zumba class. It was so fun. And we've been doing this every single Friday. Tomorrow, our chief science officer is going to do something talking about mental health and resilience and get us all thinking about our own mental health. And then next Friday, we're doing a trivia hour.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, I can add to that too. My name is Victoria Morgan. I'm actually interning a little bit with the Worksite Wellness Council and going to be summarizing this webinar for the council. I just finished graduate school and most of my roommates are working remotely for the first time, and they've contributed a lot of ideas, kind of like what you were just saying. I don't know what your name was, about the happy hours being more than just adult beverages, doing kind of something fun that could be potentially a little bit more pro-health rather than something that we look at sometimes as detrimental to our health. But I think that the Zumba class and things like that on a Friday afternoon are a really, really great idea.
Yeah, I think, you know, we always, it's kind of interesting to think that we're taking all these external things and we're putting them on video, but again, it kind of breaks down that wall of, you know, that vulnerability and gets us more used to kind of interacting at this level. And you don't have to worry about, I did a video chat last night with some girlfriends and one was like, oh, I have to go catch the train, guys. We all laughed, you know, that was kind of fun. You know, you didn't have to, there's certain, again, these positives that are coming out of this, this new video world here. Anyone else, does you know, does anyone like feel like something, I would love to hear some thoughts on if they could like implement one thing, what area would they kind of push either for themselves or for their organization to kind of work on? And when I say their organization, maybe they'll share it with their colleagues, maybe they'll share it with their employees. Is there any one thing that kind of resonated with anyone here about what they would like to work on? Anyone?
This is Christy. I would personally like to clear my clutter. That is one thing I have not tackled. And that's so easy for me to do. I could just do that this weekend. So my SMART goal is to clear the clutter from my immediate workspace within a 6-foot radius by Sunday night.
Good. I'm going to hold it to you by next Friday, right, Christy?
Exactly.
That's a hard one. It's funny. We have a bunch of clutter. I have piles. I'm notorious for my piles of stuff. And I said to my husband, I said, if I don't get these piles cleaned by the time we're, you know, out of this isolation, I guess I've always just had an excuse to have clutter. And he kind of glared at me like, you seriously aren't going to clean those up, you know? So I'm sure we all have those times, those things. Okay, I know we're at 12 o'clock. I can hang on for a few more minutes if people have questions or want to chat, but I also want to be conscious of time. So if you need to leave, feel free. I think I might just ask a couple more questions, just to see if anyone still wants to linger, but otherwise we would love to see you all next Friday to talk about, read more about framing your mindset, and that can help you and your organizations look how to embrace some of the challenges we have. So again, thank you so much for coming. I am going to go to our, feedback, before I forget feedback. Terry's gonna like glare at me here. If you have, we're gonna be sending a survey out quickly at the end of this, but if you also have any comments or chats, please put it in the chat box. We would love feedback on maybe how to change this up a little bit, maybe if necessary. Like in terms of the discussion, we would love feedback on what you thought went well, what not. So please enter that in the chat box. Or we'll be sending a survey with some opportunity to talk about that. And again, go ahead. Did I hear someone talk?
Just a big thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I look forward to doing these again. I look forward to talking with more people. But again, if anyone wants to, I'll be hanging on for the next 5-10 minutes. Does anyone want to talk about any challenges they have, what they'd like to work on, if they have any questions? Definitely here to help. Maybe I'll set my challenge. Other than the clutter.
Yeah, the clutter. Yeah.
Clutter.
What I find is hard is you say, well, I can do it tomorrow. There's never really a deadline.
Yeah, that's true. And I think sometimes with that, it's like accountability. You need to get somebody else involved, or if not, you could do like the self-reward system. If I do it, I get, something that's.
Yeah, right.
I definitely think this whole COVID thing has definitely taught us, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today.
You think so?
Yeah, some of it.
I don't know about everyone feels that way, but.
Yeah. I think in some things, not everything. That's true. That's true.
It's going to be a lot of the stuff that you mentioned. I think when we come out of this, a lot of residual anxiety and depression and bitterness, there is going to be.
Right. And I think that's one of the things we're definitely actually going to talk about in some of our upcoming programs is there's going to be a huge mental, health repercussions from this, and how are we all going to try to help each other as a society kind of get through this. I think one of the things that can help though here, is trying to keep your life somewhat as much as normal as you can and try to keep your health up. A lot of anxiety and depression also is tied to how your physical state too. So I agree with you that we are going to have a lot to handle after this. Anyone else want to talk about, I'll leave for a couple more minutes. Any other, like I said, things they want to work on, or what they feel is they're feeling maybe they are seeing a lot with more of the mental health, and have they seen in their employees how they're dealing with that? Has there been thoughts of, is there anxiety, loneliness, questions about how we can share to help our employees or ourselves deal with that?
Well, I'm really not. I don't have experience with employees right now, but I think that in my experience, any of these types of Zoom meetings, with however you do it, whether you do Facebook Messenger video, this makes a tremendous difference. So, where that woman said that they had the Friday meetings and the fun, that's just an outstanding idea.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've heard friends complain about, is no structure. Like lunch is not respected. And I think if you need to lay out some ground rules,
Right. Well, maybe what's going to happen, that's a really good point, and I'd love to hear others' thoughts on that too, is that, it used to be, what happened to leaving lunch free before we all went virtual here, where it used to be 12 to 1 was considered the lunchtime, and that kind of has been disregarded in some industries. But yeah, I think you're right. You schedule, it's an individual schedule, an organizational schedule, corporate schedule, helps us all manage and feel like we're in control. Do others have thoughts on the schedule aspect and how that's been affecting them? Does their organization respect working hours, schedules, whether they have kids and whether they have to log in late or early or whatever it is? Anyone? I mean, it's great if your organization is respecting that. I think it's really helpful. And it makes it easier for everyone to really respect work times. But sometimes it's hard to implement when you have deadlines and you have deliverables. And I know we have a lot of shifting structures and unemployment and such. So it's sometimes easier said than done. Okay, I'm just looking. And also, too, if you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud, feel free to put, comments in the chat box and we can share those amongst others. I'll give another minute or two if anyone wants to talk. Otherwise, I think we'll then close out and we'll all see each other, or hopefully see a lot of people next Friday. And again, we'd love your surveys, your survey responses. If you provide your feedback in the chat box, this will be available online. We'll definitely notify you when that is. All right. If there's no other last thoughts or comments, I don't want to, I could go on for hours and hours about this topic, but I know I want to be conscious of everyone's time and we wanted to make sure we were sharing. So we had some great ideas. We have, the happy hour, the virtual happy hours, the virtual events that are more socially driven and connective driven versus just business oriented. We've got, email signatures where you talk about how you have a lot of time, don't hesitate to respond, managing those expectations. We have Skype workouts between within the organization. So I really think there's a lot of creative ideas for yourself and your employees to feel like they can really feel a little bit, hit those elements of social connection, physical, mental health, and even home health. So you're feeling more connected, you're feeling like you have a sense of norm, and you're feeling like you're not going to be these lifestyle habits can contribute to a reduced levels of stress. And that's our goal. All right, any other last thoughts or comments? None? All right. I want to thank everybody again for joining us today. Please be sure to answer our survey. Visit us at wwcma.org. You can contact us there. I can provide my contact information on the next one if anyone has any questions for me. Otherwise, thank you very much. And again, thank you again and have a great day and a great weekend.
You too.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate the participation. Thank you.